to come forward and lead us in the pledge, please?
She's like, it's me.
It's me. She must be talking. It's obvious.
Nobody else
it's
had
me.
a birthday for her.
Well, you know, ours is Thursday.
Thursday.
That's right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
And happy birthday to you, too.
Thank you. And to my colleague here, Christian's birthday, same day, twins.
Same twin. Yeah.
Yes. Can't you tell? Oh my God.
From here? Can I take it from here?
Yeah.
Okay. all right.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
We're gonna do we're gonna move it around.
Okay.
So let people know. So with the agenda, if there's no objection, we're gonna move, and the good news is to our next order of business, because we have some participants that need to get to another activity. So, Ms. Shepherd, if you will take us with the Tennessee Ambassadors for Music program.
I'm excited to do that. I did invite the band directors, but I don't see them here. Are the McGavick band directors here tonight? Okay, I didn't think so. I know them pretty well, so I didn't think I saw them in the audience. So next, I would like to introduce the parents of the students who are here tonight. If you would please stand up and tell us who you are.
I'm Cecilia Tosh, and my son is Joey Tosh, and he's a junior at McGavick. And
You all can come to the front. We want to hear you. We want, yeah, yes, yes, yes. Can't hear you.
Yeah. All right, let's do the parents first, and then we'll do the students.
Don't go far.
Yeah, don't go far.
I'm Cecilia Tosh. Thank you for having us and inviting us to come down. My son is Joey Tosh. He's a junior at McGavick this year. He was given the opportunity to go overseas to Europe for a 16-day trip with the Tennessee Ambassadors of Music, and we really appreciate him getting to do that. So,
No, we did not.
Good evening, Board. My name is Helga Thorson. My son is Patrick Thorson. He is a junior at McGavick High School, and we also thank you guys so much for allowing him to have the opportunity to participate in the Tennessee Ambassadors of Music. I also do want to recognize that there were 3 students from Antioch as well. Javier Ortiz, Shelby Hibbs, and Luke Sweat also participated in this.
There are 4.
There was
Robert Watkins.
one from MLK. Yeah.
I'm Joe Thorson. I'm Patrick Thorson's father, and I agree with everything my wife said. It was a great opportunity, which is always a good thing.
Good move. Good move.
That's a healthy marriage.
Which is a great, it was a great opportunity for him to be able to participate. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
And again, I think you all know me. I am Sheila Calloway, and I am the proud mother of Paul Calloway III, who is also a participant in the band ambassadors. Along with Paul, in the 16-day trip, I was able to take some time off from my schedule and spend a little time with them in London and Paris, and actually got to hear them play on the Windsor Castle lawn, which was an awesome experience. So it was a great experience for me and my family that went with us as well. So thank you all for recognizing them.
All right. Hey.
Okay, now on to the students. We have Patrick Thorson, Joey Tosh, and Paul Calloway, the second, in no particular order. Take it away, guys.
Hi, my name is Paul Calloway.
Tell us what instrument you play.
I play tuba, but I played baritone on the trip. It was fun playing out there. I like Germany and Switzerland a lot, and I like the opportunities that I got to go on that trip. It was pretty fun. So thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. The aristocrat of bands would love to have you.
Because Mom's smiling.
Hi, I'm Joey Tosh, and I also am a tuba player. I would switch to baritone as well because they had more tubas than actual baritones. I was able to experience a trip. We toured 6 countries and played at 5 of them. And 2 favorite countries I like was Switzerland and Germany.
Nice.
Hi, my name is Patrick. I play percussion. First off, I'd like to give a special thanks to Anna Shepard for letting us speak on behalf of McGavick and the Tennessee Ambassadors of Music. And I would also like to thank Mr. DePriest, Hazlett, and Womack for letting us go on this trip. I I play percussion. I was also the percussion section leader for the Tennessee Ambassadors of Music. I really enjoyed getting to see all the different countries, and it really helped me expand my horizon. So yeah, and we went to 6 different countries. We performed outside the lawn of Windsor Castle, and then we performed in a square in Fontainebleau, France. And then we performed in Crans, Montana, Switzerland, and Seefeld, Australia. And then we performed in the square at medieval Rothenburg, Germany.
Thank you.
Nice.
And without being rude, we have to leave. We have marching band rehearsal.
Yes, we heard.
We knew that.
Oh, in the rain. Poor baby.
Fran, you want to go ahead and announce your
Antioch?
Oh, yeah, I know she did. So again, just want to acknowledge the Antioch High School students that also participated. And their names again are Robert Watkins, Luke Sweat, Javier Ortez, Shelby Hibbs. And congratulations again to those students. Thank you.
Ambassadors?
Oh, yeah. If I could get Academy Coach Jacob Glancy to come to the podium and introduce his ambassador students, please.
Thank you all for having us again this evening. I've got 3 outstanding Academy ambassadors who are going to tell you about some of the great experiences at McGavick in the last couple of years. And I'm going to get us started. We're going to start with Nathan Katashusky. I've been practicing his last name for 2 weeks now. Samantha Altadort, and then Laura Botros will wrap us up, all right?
Good evening. I'm Nathan Katashusky. I'm a junior at McGavick High School. I am in the Academy of Aviation and Transportation in the flight pathway. As of the last year, I've done my best to participate in extracurricular activities. I currently participate in the Air Force Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps, the drill and tennis team, and the ambassador program. When I started high school, I had the thought of being a military test pilot one day. And as of sophomore year, I decided to join aviation and transportation because I knew they would give me the opportunities and experiences to lay a foundation for me to achieve my dream job. When I joined the flight pathway, I was presented with many different opportunities. The flight pathway gets involved with many airliners and piloting associations. Some of our students even got the opportunity to work with these airliners with a summer job at Southwest at a BNA. Others, and myself included, got the opportunity to go down to Pensacola, Florida at the National Flight Academy, which was a great experience. A special thing that we get to do in the flight pathway is we get to build and restore aircraft. This is my personal favorite activity. A Southwest pilot is giving us the opportunity to restore a Harvard Mach 4 that he had recently purchased. We get to work with this relic of an aircraft with our own hands. It's an amazing experience. The Harvard Mach 4 was commissioned during World War II, but this one specifically was in 1951. It's the same model that trained fighter pilots during the Second World War. To help restore this aircraft has a special place in my heart and is an absolute privilege to do. A personal highlight of my high school career is in the Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. When I joined ROTC, I joined my sophomore year, which was a year behind. I was kind of afraid that I wouldn't be able to catch up with my peers, but I proved myself wrong by putting the pedal to the metal, and I excelled. I found myself offering service hours to the community, working with the color guard, and participating in every drill performance. By the end of the year, I was awarded First Year Cadet of the Year, Commander of the Kitty Air Hawk Society, and I'm Chief of E-Flight now, which is very amazing. When I was in ROTC, I learned a lot of discipline and leadership skills, which I will take for a long time, and I'm very excited to lead a group of sophomores in their JROTC career. Using the experiences and skills that I've learned from my academy, my pathway, and JROTC, I plan to attend the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and a major in aeronautical engineering. There, upon graduating, I will join the United States Air Force and hopefully achieve my dream of being a military test pilot. I couldn't have asked for better peers, teachers, and administrators for giving me the wonderful opportunities that I will carry throughout my life forever. Thank you for allowing me and coming to talk with you today.
Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Samantha Alcedor, and I'm a junior in the Aegis Sciences Corporation Academy of Life Science and Law in the pathway of medical therapeutic services. McGavick is inclusive. If you want to get involved, trust me, you can get involved. My freshman year, I was a part of marching band, which allowed me to compete at different schools, universities, and even at Russellville, Kentucky. My sophomore year, I joined Best Buddies, International Club, Medic Club, Book Club, Leading Ladies, and DECA, a hospitality and finance club, where my group and I advanced to the state championships in Chattanooga, where we presented our community service project. Being so involved in my school through school events, clubs, and now as an ambassador has taught me the ethical, professional, and hospitable skills I'll need in healthcare. The highlight of my sophomore year was when the Medic Club here at McGavick partnered with Nashville's rock and roll medical team, and it was the most rewarding hands-on experience because I got to wrap sore limbs, clean and bandage minor wounds, and give fluids to the runners who experience heat exhaustion. It was a hot and hectic day, but I got to work alongside medical professionals, so I was beyond grateful for that opportunity. This summer, I applied to St. Thomas's Junior Volunteer Program and was given a position in their nursery. And so there I got to restock supplies for mothers and babies. I made sure the mothers were comfortable. I scribed for nurses as they took vitals and also made care packs for families once they were discharged. There was even a discharge class that I participated in once, and this proved to be so helpful because when I went with my aunt and my 1-month-old cousin for a checkup a few weeks later, I was able to understand most of the terminology and translate properly. So my communication skills have grown exponentially, and I feel way more comfortable in a hospital setting. After high school, my plan is to become an OBGYN or a pediatrician, and being in this pathway has taught me to be receptive, respectful, and responsible while allowing me to implement the compassion that I have for individuals and community. And for that, I am forever grateful. And God willing, I plan on studying pre-med along with a major in psychology and a minor in women's study. Thank you for allowing me to share with you this evening.
Hello, my name is Laura Batros, and I'm a senior at McGavick High School, a part of the Hospitality and Tourism Pathway. The reason I picked hospitality and tourism is very simple. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew what I didn't want to do, and that eliminated a lot of options for me. And I discovered that I liked the concept of tourism. I liked the idea that one location can bring people together because of the history and love there. So I picked hospitality and tourism. In the Academy of Hospitality and Finance, I discovered that in the Academy, you have the flexibility and freedom to discover who you are. I had the chance to make mistakes, learn from them, move on, and do better. And in my academy, I had the opportunity to have an internship with one of our business partners, U.S. Community Credit Union. In this internship, I learned about the logistics of being a financial advisor and the background of financial establishments. I'm also the president of our DECA chapter at McGavick High School, and DECA is a career technical student organization that is concentrated on business-related competitions. And so in the chapter, I learned and I developed my marketing skills by promoting my chapter to my school and getting more people involved. We also have a gold-certified DECA store, which we go into every day and prepare for our customers. We even designed our own McGavick High School apparel, and we sell it in there. Further, I developed my management skills through planning the Star Awards. The Star Awards is my academy's way of celebrating our students' successes throughout the year. And as a junior, I took my first dual credit class and passed, getting my credit in principles of marketing. And so in my hospitality class, my marketing and my management class, I learned that even if I'm not gonna go into business, each workforce and career field needs hospitality, marketing, and management. And that opened my eyes and made me fall in love more with my academy. But the biggest highlight and the biggest reason that I stayed in my academy is because of my teacher, Miss Whitney Patton. Patton is the most amazing teacher I could ever have. She has genuine love and she cares for her students, and she constantly inspires me every day. And most of the activities I mentioned were under her supervision, but the one that stands out to me the most was constructing the closet. The closet provided our students with free professional clothing that aligned with our career field. But specifically, it was designed for the students who weren't fortunate enough to get their own professional clothing. And so our business partners supported us and provided us with a lot of this clothing. And because of our business partners, Ms. Patton and Mr. Glancy, we got to make that closet happen. And I'm so grateful for their compassion and hard work. And because of this, I learned that I can directly help many people in multiple ways through any career field that I choose. And because of my academy, I plan on either majoring in tourism or hospitality and management. It's because of the wonderful academy that I got to be a part of and the advisors that find my way and help me through it. So thank you so much for letting me listen.
Glancy. Mr. Glancy, do we have any parents here tonight?
Yes, ma'am. We have a few. We've got Mr. and Mrs. Kataszewski, and we've got Miss Altadort here as well. Would
you
y'all
have them
stand?
Yes, please.
You want to get a picture?
Yeah.
Would it be okay, Ms. Shepard, to come around and take a picture with you?
Yes, they come on up.
All right, come on, y'all.
Good job. Stop, y'all. Awesome.
We're not watching you. I want you more in the front.
I'll tell you, it's just like, if I didn't know any better, I'd go back to high school. If I didn't know any better. I know. That first guy, he's got military all over. Okay, we're getting ready to move into public participation. The board will hear from those persons who've requested to appear at this board meeting. In the interest of time, nope. We do, don't we? I saw it like in the back of my mind. East Nashville High School girls track team, state champions. Dr. Battle.
All right, state champions 3 years in a row. Congratulations to the East Nashville High School girls track team. In 2019, East Nashville dominated the state track meet, scoring 128 points, 43 points better than the second place team, and winning individual state championships in the pentathlon, long jump, triple jump, high jump, and the 4x100 meter relay. The 2019 team title follows state championships in 2017 and 2018, and runner-up finishes in 2015 and 2016. This evening, we are honored to recognize Coach Hines, Principal Dr. Jamie Jenkins, and members of the state championship team. I'd like to invite Dr. Jenkins and Coach Hines up to the podium if you want to share a few words, and we would love to get a picture with the state champions and their large trophy over to my right. So come on up.
What do you want to say?
Thank you very much for having us. I want to share some other accolades that these girls have accomplished. This past year, we had 7 seniors to graduate, and all 7 either graduated with an academic scholarship or a track scholarship this past year. So that's one of the achievements. That's one of our goals that we've had. Also, our average GPA is 3.5 on our girls track team. So it's something that they've accomplished and we're proud of. Thank you very much for having us, and these girls are winners, and they've proved that. This will be the first class that's coming in that has never participated on a team that did not win a state championship, which is highly unusual. This will be the first time. I went back as far as I knew, even back in the NIL league, that a public school has had the opportunity of winning 4 straight state championships. So we're hoping that we'll be back next year to be able to share with you that we've accomplished that task as well. Thank you.
Congratulations.
So I'm a track guy, so of course I inherited a great opportunity in going to East and being a former East student as well. It was awesome to be able to go back home, really, and see our team so successful. And I just want to echo what Coach Hines said. He's a veteran coach. He's been doing this for a long time, clearly knows what he's doing because he's put together some very successful programs over the years. And our girls are phenomenal. I mean, when you see them in the hallways and you see them in the classrooms, they're always about business. And when you see them on the track, they show that same type of grit and determination. So I'm proud to be part of the East Eagle family in that regard, and we just want to keep that flow going this year as well. So we hope to bring home another championship this year, hopefully with the boys as well, but we'll see how it goes. Pearl Cone gives us a good run for our money, so we've got to step our game up with the boys. But again, thank you guys so much for the opportunity to speak to you tonight.
Ms. Frogue?
I just wanted to point of personal privilege to say that my niece Sadie Frogue is on this team, so I'm going to go hop in the picture with them. Thanks.
My skill set.
I could do with any sport that didn't involve physical contact. I played basketball for like 12 minutes. I'm like, okay. I actually want to be throwing elbows. My high school did with big track, big volleyball teams. I played track. I ran track, played volleyball. But I tried to play basketball. Just, But I think that's so funny because it was like deja vu when he walked up to the podium. I know, that's a big deal. Yes, okay. The board will now hear from those persons who have requested to appear at this board meeting. In the interest of time, speakers are requested to limit remarks to 3 minutes or less. At the end of 3 minutes, you will hear something. David's going to make a bell sound.
I'll ring the phone.
Okay. What do y'all do with the bell? Okay, your names are up on the, hey, look at you already. Go ahead.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Battle. My name is Stephanie Rodriguez, and my address is 3137 Barksdale Harbor Drive in Nashville. And this evening, I am speaking to you as Program Manager of Limitless Libraries, a partnership program between Nashville Public Library and MNPS. Through this program, Nashville Public Library provides public library accounts for all MNPS students and educators. They are able to place holds on material at the public library, and it is delivered directly to their school. This eliminates the barrier some students have to accessing a public library branch, and it saves evening and weekend time of classroom teachers. Two specific resources that Limitless Libraries offers to teachers are curriculum kits and book clubs in a bag. Curriculum kits provide 30 books, DVDs, and other manipulatives on a particular topic, such as alternative energy resources. Book clubs in a bag offer 10 copies of the same title along with discussion questions, which can be used for classroom reads or after-school book clubs. 72% of teachers who responded to an end-of-year survey this past May state that Limitless Libraries enhances their classroom instruction, and 90% of those respondents say that Limitless Libraries increases student success. Last year, during the 2018-2019 school year, 1,500 teachers took advantage of their educator cards. Now that's a huge increase from the year before, but it's still only about 17% of the educators within MNPS. Throughout this current school year, Limitless Library staff will continue to make teachers aware of their educator cards by attending faculty meetings and other school events when invited, and through communication with our school librarians. We will continue to encourage them to take advantage of the many benefits of this card, such as extended checkout times and suggested reading lists. I'm here this evening to ask that you, the school board, first know about Limitless Libraries and the educator cards, and ask that you help to spread the word as you interact with school administrators, principals, and teachers, so that more of them use this tool to add value to classroom instruction, increase student literacy rates, and save teachers time and money by using resources readily available to them at no cost. Thank you for your time this evening.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Battle. My name is Christina Spoto, and my address is 803 Arbor Creek Way in Nashville. I was employed at Knowledge Academies from July 2016 until June 30th of this year. During my time at KA, there were continuous mold issues in the building that were never properly addressed. Students would constantly leave my classroom and go to the nurse with headaches due to the mold. I do have photos of the mold if you would like to see them at some point. There were often issues with payroll as well. There were at least 2 occasions where we did not get paid on time, and once we were paid, they tried to short us some of our hours that we were owed. On October 10th, 2018, school was closed and not in session due to the building being rented out. The building was often rented out, and there were constantly strangers in the building amongst the students, creating a safety issue. We never had an SRO on campus. Last year, KA refused to buy textbooks and printed PDF copies of books instead without page numbers, placed them in binders, and they would often fall apart. When NEI came, they fired essential personnel needed to run the school. This caused teachers to have to cover lunch duty. 7th grade teachers would illegally go without lunch since their planning was in the first hour of their day, and you cannot legally take lunch within your first hour of work. NEI would also repeatedly announce mandatory meetings after school on little notice without regard to teachers' outside lives, their families having to pick up children. And the biggest blow to me was that NEI dismantled the library that Mrs. Amato worked so hard to build that students had been asking for the entire 3 years that I had been there. The learning environment was disrupted on multiple occasions to send out redundant intent to return forms. Last year, there was no 7th grade math teacher. The current 8th grade class failed to have adequate math instruction for the last year and a half. There were also numerous occasions where I would be pulled to sub for a class, and my students did not receive their EL services. In my opinion, it would be a travesty to allow KA to remain open and to continue robbing students of their education and safety. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now we'll move into governance issues. You got some water? Yeah, it's long.
Okay, Madam Chair.
Yes.
The consent agenda reads as follows. 1A, approval of minutes, July 9th, 2019, regular meeting. B, recommended approval of MOU between MNPS and Metropolitan Transit Authority and Metro Public Works. C, recommended award of contract for boiler replacement at Thurgood Marshall Middle School, Tennessee Elite Mechanical, LLC. D, recommended award of contract for HVAC upgrades at Julia Green Elementary School, Brymac and Associates, Inc. E, recommended award of contract for lighting upgrades at Johnson Alternative Learning Center, Enterprise Solutions. F, recommended approval of change order number 1 for Maplewood High School Stadium and Track Improvements, Carter Group, LLC. G, recommended approval of request number 7 for small scope projects at various schools, including Amqui Elementary School structural repairs, Bomar Construction Company. H, recommended approval of request number 8 for small scope projects at various schools, including Paragon Mills Elementary School Canopy, Southland Constructors, Inc. I, awarding of purchases and contracts. 1, Achieve 3000. 2, Applicant Insight, Inc. 3, Applied Maintenance Supplies and Solutions. 4, Barnes & Noble Booksellers, Inc. 5, Best One Tire of Nashville, Inc. 6, Brentwood Services Administrators, Inc. 7, CDW-G. 8, CMS Uniforms and Equipment, Inc. 9, Connecticut General Life Insurance Company, Cigna. 10, Coughlin Companies, LLC, DBA Capstone. 11, Cumberland International. 12, Curriculum Associates. 13, Dell Marketing with 2 contracts. 14, Dynamic Recycling of Tennessee, LLC. 15, Ferguson Enterprises, LLC. 16, Fleet Pride, Inc. 17, Franklin Covey Client Sales, Inc. 18, Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation. 19, Home Depot USA, Inc. 20, Imagine Learning, Inc. 21, Industrial Staffing of Tennessee. 22, IXL Learning. 23, Jarrett Builders, Inc. 24, Jigsaw Learning, LLC, DBA Teachtown. 25, Kenhams, Inc. 26, KIP Nashville Nonprofit, LLC. 27, Lawrence Glass. 28, Learning Without Tears. 29, Mid-Tennessee Ford. 30, NCS Pearson, Inc. 31, Neely Cobble Company, Inc. 32, Parman Energy. 33, Personal Computer Systems, Inc. 34, Positive Action, Inc. 35, Pratters, Inc. 36, QuaverMusic.com, LLC. 37, Rush Truck Center of Nashville. 38, Snyder Fleet Solutions. 39, Tech Systems. 40, University of Pittsburgh, DBA Institute for Learning. J, Board Policies. 1.1021, Boardsmanship Code of Ethics. 1.804, Drug-Free Workplace and Duty to Report. 2.403, Surplus Property Sales. 2.601, Fundraising Activities. 3.202, Emergency Preparedness Plan. 3.212, District Water Testing. 3.218, Service Animals in District Facilities. 3.401, Transportation Eligibility, Scheduling and Routing. 4.200, Curriculum Development. 4.202, Special Education. 4.203, Additional Credit Opportunities. 4.204, Summer School. 4.206, Special Programs. 4.207, English Learners. 4.210, Credit Recovery. 4.302, Field Trips, Excursions, and Competitions with an amendment. 4.401, Textbooks and Instructional Materials. 4.500, Community Instructional Materials. 4.601, Reporting Student Progress. 4.602, Honor Roll, Awards, and Class Rank. 4.603, Promotion and Retention. 4.604, Credit for Prior Courses. 4.605, Graduation Requirements. 4.606, Graduation Activities. 4.700, Testing Programs. 4.802, Student Facility Equal Access. 5.200, Separation Practices for Tenured Teachers. 5.201, Separation Practices for Non-Tenured Teachers. 5.305, Family and Medical Leave. 6.201, Compulsory Attendance Ages. 6.203, School Admissions. 6.204, Attendance of Non-Resident Students. 6.206, Transfers within the system. 6.308, Bus Safety and Conduct. 6.400, Promoting Student Welfare. 6.412, Emergency Allergy Response Plan. 6.4051, Glucagon. Glucagon, and anti-seizure medication. 6.5, I was a numeracy person. Anyway, 6.500, Special Education Students. 6.506, Students with military family. Students from military families. 6.600, Student Records. 6.601, Student Records Annual Notification of Right. And K, Additional Educator eligible for tenure.
Thank you. So pause for your applause. Okay.
I'm done for
I
the
want to
day.
make the motion. Okay.
I'm
So we're
done.
gonna make a change. So I would like to move approval of the consent agenda as read, with the exception of Board Policy 4.601, which was pulled per our earlier Governance Committee meeting. May I have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you very much.
I can go home.
I can go home.
My work here is done.
Item number 2 on the consent agenda, certified teacher dismissal charges for Mary Cottingham. Dr. Battle.
Thank you.
I think she's going to pass this one off to me.
Or you.
Yes, you, hopefully you've already received the information. Ms. Cunningham has received the notice of charges in the mail and is aware that this is on the agenda. I will remind you that this comes to you under TCA 495-511A. And basically what that statute says is that when charges are made to the board against a teacher, that we need to give them notice of those charges, stating in writing why we are seeking their termination. And then today, we're asking you to certify those charges. That means if, in the opinion of the board, charges are of such a nature as to warrant the dismissal of the teacher, well, let me just say, you should be looking at whether or not, if what is stated on those notice of charges is proven true at a later time, if what is proven true is enough to warrant that person's dismissal, then you would certify those charges tonight. That is what we're seeking today. Again, Ms. Cottingham we're seeking dismissal based on some misconduct, conduct unbecoming a member of the teaching profession, and neglect of duty. Both of these are grounds for dismissal pursuant to the statute.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the board?
I move that we follow the recommendation of to certify the dismissal charges against Mary Cottingham.
There's a second. Second. We have a motion. It's been made and properly second. Is there any discussion? All in favor of certifying the charges, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you. Don't move.
Figure not.
All right. Item number 3, Knowledge Academies. We've gotten an update, I believe, that you will share with us.
Yeah, so I think this is just on the agenda for tonight for an update, so I figured I'd kind of start with giving you a little bit of an update on the status of the litigation that has been filed by Knowledge Academies, and then I'll turn it over to the charter school office to give an update on what they're working on. So as you recall, Knowledge Academies filed a lawsuit alleging that you should not have been able to have a private meeting to seek the advice of your attorney on June 11th, and basically an allegation of an open meetings violation. The status of the KA lawsuit is that we're still in the discovery phase, where written documents are requested and depositions are taken. Knowledge Academy had filed a motion to hold the board in contempt, but that original motion for contempt has been denied. In reinitiating the process related to the potential revocation of Knowledge Academy's charters, the chancellor, the judge, seemed very pleased with the robust public discussion that you had about Knowledge Academies on July 9th, and with the fact that KA was permitted to participate through the public comment process. The judge is not stopping or slowing down the board's review of whether Knowledge Academy should remain open. The judge wants the board's process for making this decision to be independent from the lawsuit. The judge is also amending her temporary injunction to make it clear that board members are permitted to speak with constituents about the board's review of whether Knowledge Academy should remain open. Additionally, the judge is allowing Dennis Queen, the charter school office, to request information from Knowledge Academy pursuant to your motion made at that July 9th meeting. The documents requested are public records, and whether Knowledge Academy chooses to provide the information is really up to its leaders. There is a process that could be used to subpoena their documents, but it would likely be time-consuming, and it's not required for the board's determination of whether to revoke Knowledge Academy's charter. At this time, Mr. Queen has sent a follow-up request to Knowledge Academies to provide the documents. By this Friday, August 16th, is the day that he's asked them again to provide those documents. As such, tonight's agenda item is intended as an update, with any decision by the board to be included at a later meeting, possibly the August 27th meeting if the board desires that. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Queen to provide an update on what his office has found up to this point.
Hold on,
Yeah.
Ms. Harkey.
Ms. Harkey, we got an email this afternoon, or this evening, I guess, from Laura Fox saying that they have filed, KA has filed yet another lawsuit against us. The judge said that board members may speak with constituents about the status of the case, but KA appears frustrated with the content of these conversations. So what impact will that have on this discovery phase of going into this trial?
Well, it seems as though they continue to file things, and yes, I noticed that even as we've been sitting here tonight is when we got that update, when they had filed that, again, another motion for contempt. The last hearing that we had with the judge was pretty clear that she wants these two issues to proceed separately. And so although I don't know how the chancellor will rule on any motion at this point. I haven't had, I mean, it's brand new. We'll have to see how it goes. But what I can tell you is that the chancellor was clear that she does not want to put anything in place that would prevent this board from moving forward with its obligations to review Knowledge Academy's charter.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Director Battle, we are here today to present preliminary findings on our investigation of Knowledge Academy schools. Each member of the charter office will be presenting information tonight as we do this. Dr. Minnick and Dr. Thomas, along with myself, will be presenting today's board update on our work concerning Knowledge Academies. The information shared tonight is not intended to be all-inclusive or a final report, but an update on our work. As an overview of what we've been working on, the MNPS Board of Education gave notice on July 9, 2019, to bring the topic of Knowledge Academies to the board floor for discussion relating to a number of concerning items as reported in the Tennessean. Knowledge Academies consist of 3 separate schools. Knowledge Academy, grades 5 through 8, whose contract runs from 2011 to 2021. Knowledge High School, grades 9 through 12, contract runs 2015 to 2025. And KA at the Crossing, grades 5-8, from 2016 to 2026. The Office of Charter Schools is investigating many of the allegations alleged and has prepared to update the Board of Education. At this time, I would invite our Director of Schools, Dr. Minnick, to address Knowledge Academy's academic accountability.
Good evening. I will speak briefly regarding Knowledge Academy's accountability data. I'll begin with the 2 middle schools. This slide covers the percent of students in grades 5 through 8 reaching proficiency on TCAP and TN-ready assessments as compared, here we go, this slide, hold on, let's see. Oh, there we go. As compared to district averages. A review of the last 3 years of data available for both Knowledge Academy and KA at the Crossings reveals that while we do see some consistency and outperformance of district averages in science, we see a bit of a different story in English language arts, mathematics, and social studies. In the 2014-15 school year, Knowledge Academy Middle School performed essentially at the district average in English language arts. Both Knowledge Academy Middle and KA at the Crossings performed below district achievement averages in reading language arts, mathematics, and social studies in 2017 and 2018. I did not have access to district data for comparison for 2019 as it was embargoed until this evening. But it should be noted that data were not, and it also should be noted that data were not available due to testing issues for the 2015-2016 school year. Data are not available for the 2014-2015 school year for KA at the Crossings as it was not yet open. Next, I will review achievement for Knowledge Academy's high school. Data were available for 3 consecutive years for Knowledge Academy's high school. This slide covers the percent of students reaching proficiency on the end of course assessments as outlined in the outlined subject areas as compared to district averages. For each of those school years, the school underperformed district averages across all subjects with the exception of science in 2016-2017. Again, I did not have access to comparative data for 2019. However, the school's performance was of particular importance, as will be evident in a later slide regarding the school's state accountability status this year. Excuse me, as I turn that. This slide outlines TVOS for all 3 schools. That's our growth measure across the state. Even though Knowledge Academy Middle and KA at the Crossings are on the same campus and historically have shared the same teachers, TVOS often varies between the 2 schools. We do see some consistency at Knowledge Academy Middle, as they often show comparable performance to district TVOS levels. You will note that at the high school level, Knowledge Academy High School outperforms district TVOS levels for literacy in both 2017 and in 2018. The same holds true for numeracy, science, and composite level TVOS in 2016-17. Finally, I'd like to address the state accountability status of Knowledge Academies. You will see 3 different indicators on this slide. Where you see NA, the school was not eligible for state accountability status as they were not yet open, or there were no data available for that year. Where you see the words no indicator, the school was not on the state's list as a focus school, a priority school, or a reward school. In 2018, a new indicator of additional targeted support and improvement, comparable to a focus school, was identified through federal accountability guidelines. Both Knowledge Academies High School and KA at the Crossings fell under this identification. While KA at the Crossings was able to move from that status in 2019, Knowledge Academies High School was again designated as ATSI based on 2019 data. Additionally, Knowledge Academy Middle School was identified as a school in need of targeted support and improvement. Both of these schools are considered focus schools based on 2019 data. The definitions for targeted support and improvement, or TSI, and additional targeted support and improvement, or ATSI, are included on this slide. And I believe that Dr. Changas will cover these designations more in depth later in this meeting. However, I want you to know that in each case, we are seeing particularly low student achievement data for one or more student subgroups, and we find this concerning. I will now turn the presentation over to my colleague, Dr. Thomas.
Good evening. Each year, the schools are required to submit a financial audit. The audit delves into the procedures and processes of each charter school, as well as making sure each school is reporting accurate information. As you can see, there's no audit finding for school year 16 and 17. However, you will notice the audit for school year 18 that was due by December 31st of 2018 has not been turned in to the Office of Charter School or the Comptroller's Office as of today. We were in contact with the Comptroller's Office, who has received several delinquent filing notifications since the due date. The last notice indicated a new filing date of August the 31st of this year. This is concerning to the Office of Charter Schools since this is 8 months since the original due date, and at this time, all charter schools should be working their school year 19 audit. That will be due December the 31st of this year. In looking at the tax returns of the 990s, we used the website GuideStar to pull the information regarding charter schools 990 information. It's important to note that this website is specifically used to provide information around nonprofit organizations. As you can see, Knowledge Academy recorded a surplus on their 990s for fiscal year 14 and 15. However, you will notice that for fiscal year 16, they recorded a loss in the net asset and fund balance of $315,546. We also needed to look at and take into consideration the depreciation, I'll get it out in just a minute, sorry, that was recorded totaling $216,948,000, and this brings the total loss of $98,598 for that particular year. We're continuing to go through the documents that we have, and then also taking into consideration the documents that we are requesting so that we can determine what was the cause of that loss. And at this time, I'll turn it back to Mr. Queen.
Yeah. Dr. Thomas?
Mr. Queen.
Oh, okay, sure. Mr. Queen.
Mr. Queen, would it be possible for us to get this slideshow sent to us electronically?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
It has a lot of information that I can't commit to memory.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Some of the operational areas that we have spent some time looking into, I have 8 specific that I would like to share with you. And again, there's supporting documentation, summaries that we have in our office from a lot of this. But again, this being more informational, I'll share those with you. Former staff verified being underpaid. They were offered bonuses to wait for late payment. Some had not received promised stipends. And according to some of the teachers interviewed, several have hired attorneys to look into this for them. Premier Cleaning Company verified the loss of $25,581.77 in unpaid services. He has retained an attorney as well. 2 parents verified scholarships were promised but not delivered. 2 former students verified, by the way, some folks reached out to my office that we spoke with. 2 former students verified they paid for warm-ups at the cost of $130 each and did not receive the warm-ups or requested refunds. The governing board chair, James Bristol, Tennessee in interview acknowledges many issues, including poor governing board oversight, some of which he and I discussed at the initial Knowledge Academies board meeting that we attended several months ago. There's a Great Schools Org, which is a website where parents and community and students can go in and rate their schools. We did do a search of that. Great Schools Org website reflects mostly negative comments from students, parents, and community. And again, we have a summary of that in our office. These were posted between 2018 and 2019. The NEI CMO management agreement, the term management or manage is used 17 times in the NEI contract dated April 2, 2019. Article 5, Section B, Subsection 4, NEI shall operate and manage the charter school according to its annual budget. This CMO language requires a contract amendment. School documents have been requested 3 times from Knowledge Academies and have yet to be provided. We requested documents on June 12th, July 10th, and again August 9th. The latest document requests are due Friday, August 16th. Many of the financial statements that we're requesting and audits are part of those documents that we have requested on 3 separate occasions. The data that you see on the screen currently, this data is accurate as of August 8th, 2019. Updated staffing and enrollment numbers were requested this morning of Knowledge Academies, and we have not received any updated, so we're going to use the information from August the 8th. If you look at it, Knowledge Academies are short 29 certified staff between the 3 schools, and they're short 15 support staff between the 3 schools. Total enrollment is down 321 students from their projected numbers. A particular concern is the high school. The school is down 14 certified staff and 153 children. We are currently checking qualifications of all instructional substitutes to ensure compliance with Tennessee law. The above data that I've shared with you that you see on the screen was supplied by the Office of Student Enrollment and also from their August 4-day head count. To summarize everything, we believe there's evidence available within the academic, financial, and operational areas of accountability to support material violations of the contract and also Tennessee charter law. Each school in the Knowledge Network has their own charter contract. This is very important. Therefore, any action taken by this board must be by individual school. Again, there's Knowledge Academy, grades 5-8, Knowledge High School, grades 9-12, and K-8 to Crossing, grades 5-8, 3 separate contracts under the Knowledge Academies. And at this time, my team and I will be willing to answer any questions you might have.
The last bullet point on your first slide details the different deadline dates that you have given Knowledge Academies to provide information, and we just keep pushing those dates back instead of, putting any real teeth into, our request. What happens come Friday when they haven't complied?
The Office of Charter Schools has several options. One option would be a notice of concern, a notice of deficiency. That would be our next step, that if they refuse to submit these documents to us.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's also something that certainly it goes to the evidence that is before the board when you are making your decision, if you choose to bring this up as a decision for revocation. Certainly having the lack of information provided by Knowledge Academy, it's partly their opportunity to provide a response. And if they choose not to provide the response, then certainly the board can only move forward with the documentation that it has.
Walker? So I have a couple of questions. So what student group were they targeted for as an ATSI? What student group was, do you know?
Dr. Changus, is that? I'm going to ask Dr. Changus if that's something.
Or is it different for each school?
May I share that? Yeah. So it is different for each school. So for this year, for Knowledge Academies Middle School, they were targeted, I believe, for their EL students. And for their high school, I believe it was Black, Hispanic, Native American, Black or African American, and there's one more. It may be EL, but I'd have to verify that. I can provide you with that information.
I was just curious.
English learners and Hispanic. So 4 different subgroups.
Okay. So the documents that have been requested from them over time, are you saying that they've submitted no documentation or not complete documentation?
No documentation has
Of
been
any
submitted.
kind?
None of the documents requested.
Uh-huh, okay. And so are they on probation at this time?
No, ma'am, they're not at this time.
And so when did you guys start interacting with their board? Like, when did you start attending board meetings or working with their board, or have you attended board meetings?
Yeah, we attend board meetings not on a regular basis. We are beefing that up for this year. The board meeting we attended was back in April when we began to feel like something wasn't right, particularly with their former CEO that we could not get a hold of. So we all 3 attended that board meeting and talked with the board chair. At that point, he shared some additional information to us, which got all of this kind of rolling.
Was Noble involved at that point in April?
They were. They had already actually had a contract signed by the school. One of the concerns we had was that our office was not notified. The district had not been notified in any way. There was a contract signed that we had no knowledge of for a CMO, for someone to run the school.
And so to date, have you not been formally notified that they're working with you, or was your acknowledgement at that board meeting considered?
We have a copy of the contract, so we are formally notified. We requested that. We did not get it in advance. Only upon request did they send us a copy of the contract.
Okay, that's all I have.
My only question is, what are next steps? How can we better support you all? I mean, it's obvious. It's not obvious. I would think that with all the information that you've presented, that we feel fairly comfortable moving forward with probation, revocation actions. If you wouldn't mind just kind of outlining next steps for us.
Sure. Well, for the board, that would be up to the board, the next steps for the board. Our next steps are to continue, complete the investigation. Again, there's a lot of information not shared tonight. This is just an overview. But we plan to complete our investigation and prepare that. And certainly if the board on the 27th wants another report out or a more in-depth, we're willing to do that. But that's our steps at this point. There's no action on the charter offices part right now that we're going to take because it's pending any action the board may take. We don't want to get ahead of the board.
So you would not come to the board with a recommendation based on data that you receive?
We could. Initially, this was a motion made on the board floor. Sure. We certainly would be prepared to present any additional information that the board might need for any decision they might want to do. We weren't initially planning on bringing a recommendation to the board, but we could.
I've seen my recommendation.
So with the recommendation, let's just hypothetically say we voted to terminate the charter or the contracts. When would that take effect? Would they finish the school year? Would that be immediate? What would that look like?
Would not be immediate.
looked there, and I don't have the law in front of me right now. There is state statute that says that a revocation decision by the board, the school would close at the end of the then current school year, and unless there is fraud, mismanagement of funds, or some kind of very significant material violation. I have to get the exact words, but without one of those things actually occurring, it usually happens at the end of the school year.
And there would be an appeal process if the board were to vote for closure. Knowledge Academies, there is an appeal process with the state that would be a little time consuming.
Didn't know that.
Hold on. And I'll come back to you.
Do they stay open during that appeal process?
They do.
Yes.
Sorry, I got the law. It's 4913-122H, except in the case of fraud, misappropriation of funds, flagrant disregard of the charter agreement, or similar misconduct, a decision to revoke a charter agreement becomes effective at the close of the school year.
So it seems to me, and maybe I just don't know what I'm listening to, that we've pretty much checked all three of those boxes with the information that we've heard. So they've changed the arrangement by inserting a management company into there without modifying the charter, so that's disregarding the terms of the charter. We've talked about mismanagement of funds, teachers not being paid, bills not being paid, they're currently being sued. So I think we have cause for it. I guess I just want to make sure we're clear on the process. So this board tonight could give notice that at the next board meeting, they want to, there would be a motion under action items, revocation of Knowledge Academies charters. With an S.
The board has already given notice pursuant to the statute that's required. You have to give notice 30 days prior to any action taken.
So we did that.
Notice has already been provided after the July 9th meeting.
Okay.
And so that notice has been provided. Obviously, you want to give Knowledge Academies a chance to respond, to provide any information. At this point, you're past your 30-day mark, so it can be placed on again, August 27th agenda or any future agenda.
Okay. Hold on. Ms. Walker?
So last time we had this conversation, Mr. Queen, I believe you said you guys were not allowed to communicate with families?
Yeah, we're still under court order. We can communicate with anyone except families and current students. So there's been no outreach to current students or families.
That's correct. The judge's current injunction is prevents MNPS from having communication with students and families. Obviously, the judge has during the last motion or last hearing, she did kind of clarify that she's not trying to prevent board members from having any conversations or about this. If somebody comes to you, obviously, as board members, you can speak to them. However, just to ensure that the charter office is not doing anything arguably concerning, they are being very conservative in their approach with how they speak and talk with students and parents right now.
Ms. Froak?
So if we were to vote to close the school immediately, I guess it's a legal question. I mean, does that, I don't know what the language of the order is. Does that change? I mean, that was contingent on the executive session that we had, but if we have a public discussion and we vote to close the school, then are we able to follow the statutory steps of notification of parents at that point?
Yes, and I think that the way that the chancellor described her injunction preventing communication with parents and students was that she felt like we were doing that too early. That instead of sending out a letter now, we needed to wait until the statute already prescribes what our response is should there be a revocation and how we go through the closure of a school. And that's the process that would include notification to parents, students, families. And so, again, I think, at least thus far from the chancellor, she has made it clear that she wants the lawsuit to follow one path and that she's not doing anything to prevent the board from undertaking its obligations respective to charters. And so we would move forward, and if there was a decision by this board to close Knowledge Academies, we would then move to that next section in the statute that outlines that closure process. That might include some notification.
And if we were to move forward with a revocation at the next meeting, would that give the district enough time to figure out ways to absorb the remaining students at Knowledge Academies? Do we have, because I want to make sure that we are meeting the family's needs.
Again, it depends on, I mean, I'll certainly pass them, that's really for them, but I will say it depends also on whether or not the board makes findings of the fraud, mismanagement of funds, that language, in terms of an immediate closure or not. Certainly, though, I think the statute, if absent those things, it would be at the close of the school year, and certainly they can answer the timing.
Ideally, at the end of the school year would be best, I think, as far as transitioning children and increasing enrollment in other schools mid-year. The high schools, it would be easier to place the high school kids. The middle school kids and middle schools are pretty crowded in that area. That would be a little bit of a challenge. Of course, the kids would have the option of a traditional or another charter. They would have those options. It would be similar to what we did with New Vision. We would just hope that it wouldn't be as quick and such a short runway to get everything processed and kids in schools.
Could we give it a 6-month period and close it mid-year? Or, I mean, I know we can do whatever we want, but I'm just saying, would that be enough time, do you think, for families to find other placements, or do you think we need the entire year?
Again, normally it would be at the end of the school year. However, if there was a finding by the board of fraud, mismanagement of funds, that means that it could be more immediate, and I think the board could probably come up with a plan on when it thinks that would make the most sense to actually happen.
Okay, thanks.
So I think what we would need, if that's the desire of the board, to Ms. Froge's point, if we were to make a motion for, air quotes, immediate closure, meaning that after the Christmas break or going into the second half of the school year, students would attend other schools, we would definitely need to know the capacity, and so that we would not make a recommendation that puts the district in a position that we can't follow through on it. So, I mean, I know that we're very interested in getting students into a better environment and into a more stable environment, but we don't want to, get the cart before the horse. So I would definitely look to administration to say, if it was the board's desire to make a motion to have the closure be immediate and beginning in the second half of the school year, students would go to different schools. I would only do that if we knew and you could confirm that the schools that they would be zoned to have capacity for them.
Correct, and that's something that our staffing committee could work towards preparing in advance of that conversation.
If the answer is no, the answer is no. We just need to make the motion appropriately so that we can support whatever that decision turns out to be from the board. You want to say something else, Ms. Shepherd?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I'm going to end this up because it's a lot. I wanted this school closed before it opened. KA is in serious trouble right now. It's in serious trouble. We got students. I've given you guys some information. I get calls all the time. Of course, with the court order, I was very careful about how much information I was going to talk to the families about. But since that order has been lifted, I'm getting calls. I'm getting parents that are so frustrated. I'm getting tears. I'm getting everything that I can ever imagine that I'm getting from this school. It is a disaster. The busing situation is horrible. The students are not getting to school on time. The school starts at 8 o'clock, and they're an hour and a half behind picking them up and dropping them off. The children are hoarded in the...
Your mic.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, she has turned your volume up.
Okay. Yeah. So they're hoarded into the gym in the evening times because they got to wait on the bus. The children are all over the place. There's no supervision. So if we keep it open a year, we keep it open 6 months, these children are in trouble. They are in trouble. We have 50% down on teachers, maybe throughout the whole school. We have substitutes who are not certified that are there that they have our kids in classrooms. They don't even eat breakfast. They're missing breakfast. One time, the student made me aware that they had breakfast one time. She said that we're very hungry and we don't get lunch until lunchtime. And when we do get lunch, it is bad. It's cold. They're not warming up the food. This is all the stuff that I'm hearing. And I am highly affected by this because it is in my district, and I am hearing so much horrible stories that these parents are running out of that school. If you go back to that slide, I think we're about down 300 and something students. Is that where we are? All right, so look at this. Look at the numbers. We got high school. We're down how many now? So you take away those numbers, where are we at?
Well, they're down 153 from, projected, and they had 214 on the date that we were there to count, or that we collected their count.
Okay, let me just talk about the conditions. Then I get emails from the teachers there. I guess they don't understand that I'm the one they should be not contacting, and they need help, and telling me their PA system is not working, and if there was an emergency, they wouldn't be able to get the information across the school to let, in case of emergency, that teachers are aware that they have an emergency. I think one teacher mentioned mold. That was another issue. I mean, the school is in bad shape. And so I think they met all those indicators, the three things that Corey, you spoke of. And that's something I would guess the charter school office will need to confirm as far as the three things that we can immediately close this school. Yes, we are definitely overcrowded. We're busting out the seams with our middle schoolers. Exactly, we are. We are very in high capacity. We've had students to go to Cambridge High School. A lot of our high schools went to their zone schools. So all these students can, of course, be welcome into their zone schools. It is about capacity, it is. But most of our high school students have either gone to Cambridge High School or Antioch High School at this point. So now we're at a situation now, we got another court order that's faced us. Every time we decide to move forward, they find some kind of way to go to their attorney and say, get her. It's about me. They want to fight with me, knowing my position and knowing the cares I have for these students. And they don't have a leg to stand on. So we're going back to court, and you know why? Because they are trying to stretch every measure they can to keep this revocation from happening. And I'm not going to stop until it's done because these students are suffering. So we're going back because guess what? Ironically, they put a bus stop in front of my daycare. Yeah, they did. So students were in front of my daycare, and I couldn't understand what school they were from. And I pull up yesterday, and students are in the driveway. Parents are trying to come in and out, and they were not in a safe place. And I said, hey, what school are you guys? Didn't even know it was KA. How ironic, right? So student had on Knowledge Academy polo shirt, and I thought, wow, seriously? So I said, hey guys, are you waiting on the bus? They were like, yes ma'am, we're waiting on the bus. It was a parent of a 5th grader out there, and it was an 11th grader out there. And they explained to me that the bus is late and they don't know if they're gonna get picked up. So I said, well, hold on one second, let me park my car. Came down the hill to talk to him. And the young man, the 5th grader, his dad couldn't speak a whole lot he couldn't speak good English. So the 5th grader was trying to translate, but the 11th grader was very fluent. And she advised me that she was tired of not getting picked up. She gets there at 6 o'clock in the morning. It was already about 8:20, so they've been sent out on the bus she's been sent out on the stop for a while. And she explained to me how she is very concerned about her education with Knowledge Academies. We talked about it. We talked about some of the issues that we were having, and I understand it wasn't her problem. I was so sorry, that kind of thing. So 8:30 comes and still no bus. So the 5th grade dad said, I'm going to take my child to school. I said, okay, that's fine. And also, I had a conversation that he also has options if he wanted to move his student because he seemed very frustrated. And of course, all the things I was hearing anyway. So fast forward, the student, the 11th grader, was left by herself, and I said to her, I can take you to school, it's no problem. Call your mom to see if it's okay if I take you to school. She did exactly that. Her mom was very leery. She Googled me. She wanted to make sure I was real because she didn't want her child in a car with a stranger. And she approved for me to take her to school because she couldn't get off work. And she was frustrated. She was outraged. She told me that her daughter was not being picked up to school, so she started the process of telling me how she was feeling. I told her at that time, we can talk more about options. In the meantime, let's get your daughter to school. She gets in the car. We have a really nice conversation. She's telling me all the problems that they're having, not having the teachers certified, and she was concerned about how they taught. She didn't know if they really had the knowledge of teaching the certain subjects. She was telling me that she really wanted to go back to her zone school, which was Antioch High School. Most of her friends have left, so we had a really good conversation. So we get to Knowledge Academies. My first time stepping on campus since all this happened. She says to me, "You're going to have to walk in with me because they're not allowed, we're not allowed to come in without an adult." And I said, "Okay, no problem. I'll go in with you." So I go into the office, and she goes up to the front, and the young lady says to her, "Do you need a note? Do you need a pass to go to class?" And she said, "Yes, ma'am, I do." She said, "Okay." She writes it out. She turns to me, and she said, I'm good. I said, "Okay." In the meantime, I'm looking around. All the students, we had students everywhere, just sitting in the office. So I'm doing my observation, and I walk out. As I'm walking out the door, there was a gentleman fixing the door, and there was a lady who said, "Hey, can you come look at my tire?" Which I don't know anything about cars, but she just had an accident. So she wanted to see if her tire was going to flatten because something happened, and I didn't know, so I called the gentleman over, and I said, "Hey, can you help her?" So I get back in my car, and I drive off. So Mom comes to me at the end of the day. She comes to meet me in my daycare. She wants to tell me thank you. But she says, "Something happened, though, today. Something happened that's disturbing me." And I said, "Well, what happened?" And she said, she was made to write a statement without me being there. I said, "Well, what kind of statement?" She said, "I don't know. I haven't talked to her. She was crying. I took her home, and she was really distraught." And I was like, "Well, what kind of statement did?" Okay. So I said, "Well, I'll tell you what. Find out what the statement was. Find out what the situation, what happened to her." So, board members, I sent you, or I made copies of the principal statement that she was made to write. So they took her into the office after they, I guess, noticed me, or someone noticed me in the building, and took her into her office and interrogated her. Took her in there with more adults to ask her, "Why were you with Miss Bush?" And made her write a statement. And guess what the statement went to? The attorney. And that's why we have the next one, that they filed a lawsuit, saying that I did something that was inappropriate, and I took a underage student to school, and I didn't sign her in. And now we have a problem. We have another court case. NEI is not in it for the right reasons. It's about money. It has nothing to do with these students. They don't care about these students, because if they cared about these students, they would have came in April and had remedies for all these issues that we're seeing right now. Before this school year started, they should have had everything in place, and they did not, because they didn't care. And I'm not going to let these students suffer, and I'm going to be there until the end, until this is all done, because these children don't deserve this. I want this school closed. There will not be any benefit to these children. There's nothing that's going to change it. Nothing's going to change it. Does anybody have any questions so far? So here we are, another lawsuit stating a lot of unfacts, of course. And this time I am asking to go in front of the judge, because I want to be able to make sure that everything is clear about what's happening. Because it is not fair that these students have to keep going through this foolishness that they're going through, and we're sitting back and we're doing nothing. Looking at this, listening to this information, this school should be closed. So therefore, I want to continue to move towards revocation on the next board meeting. Thank you.
We'll take this as you're giving notice that on the agenda, next board meeting, there'll be a notice
Do I
of
need to say
revocation.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I am giving notice. Did you, Amy, do you want me to say it before she has anything to say?
No, not necessary.
Okay, so I want to make notice that I want Knowledge Academies, I want the...
Notice of revocation on the next agenda.
Yes, I want the revocation on the next agenda for Knowledge Academies, all 3 schools.
Thank you. Ms. Frog, we don't have to take a vote on that, right? No, it's just notice, yeah. Good. You didn't have to, okay, well, you just got pulled in. All right, so just again, Dr. Battle, administration. So first of all, thank you, Mr. Queen, Dr. Thomas, and your last name, I can spell it, but I can't pronounce it. Minnick. All right, Dr. Minnick. Thank you all for the information and for the report. I know it was kind of short notice, but thank you for the indulgence. And I'm just asking again that we all want the students in a better place, in a better environment, but just we want to make sure that we're putting them in a better environment that has the capacity to provide them with the supports that they need. So if you guys can just do that legwork so that when we're making the motion, we are making it with some foundation behind it. If there's nothing else on that topic, I think, Dr. Battle, the floor is all yours.
All right. What a joy it is to welcome our students and families back for the first week of school. I visited 26 schools last week and 7 schools today and felt a high sense of optimism and even stronger academic culture. We anticipate the first week to be a little hectic, but I saw a calming, professional level of preparedness. We were ready. Metro Schools is a large organization, and it takes a dedicated team working together to be so prepared for our students. So, thank you to every employee who works in any capacity to serve our students, especially our teachers who consistently give of their expertise and passion for serving students, every support employee who serves by transporting, feeding, welcoming, leading, teaching, preparing experiences for every student every day. It takes a lot of work behind the scenes, too. Our employees are working at full steam to prepare for the school year, and it ramps up the first week of school. Here are a few examples. Maintenance. The space to serve our students is immense. We have 14,682 pieces of HVAC equipment throughout the district, including 1,500 portable window units alone. We have a total of 18 technicians who work on and keep up with almost 15,000 pieces of equipment, covering over 14 million square feet in 188 buildings. Fresh paint, yes. Over the summer, we had 24 employees painting our schools with approximately 750 gallons of paint. We are so proud of our maintenance staff, led by Louis Burnett. Thank you for your hard work. Since June 1st, the Family Information Center has assisted a total of 29,000 plus parents, including more than 500 phone calls per day. They are courteous and helpful and have been able to keep the wait times amazingly low. Thank you to Susan York and her staff in the Family Information Center. They are truly remarkable. Nutrition services. During the first week of school, MNPS served over 137,000 breakfasts and over 220,000 lunches. We also rolled out our online payment program, which allows families to pay for meals with a credit card. It makes the school meals more convenient for students and families and more efficient for our school system. Thank you to Spencer Taylor and his team in nutrition services, including all the hardworking cafeteria personnel in all of our schools. Textbooks. As of August 12th, we have delivered 159,645 textbooks to schools. So thank you to Josh Adcock and his team for all of your hard work as well. Our enrollment centers have been extremely busy. Over the summer and through last Friday, 15,294 families signed in at the enrollment centers, including 4,300 families during the first week of school. Thank you to our enrollment center staff, our interpreters, EL staff, pre-K staff, and the entire team for being thorough and courteous with supporting our new and returning families. The HR department has been extremely busy. This summer, the HR team supported principals and helped hire 1,400 teachers, including nearly 491 new hires. We continue to make progress filling our positions across the district. All central office employees provided support in every school during the first week. Employees were in a school helping address any issue that popped up and making sure it received prompt attention. Then, each afternoon, representatives from every department would meet to address all lingering concerns, questions, or problems. It was amazing to watch a truly collaborative effort unfold, because we are here to support our students, our schools, and our families every single day. Thank you to Chief Operating Officer Chris Henson for heading up those meetings. Of course, there will always be challenges, and we will always strive to improve. But because of the team effort, we had a smooth start to the school year. Finally, and most important, I want to thank the families who entrusted us and selected Metro Schools to educate their children, and I want to thank our amazing students who arrived eager to learn. Together, we're going to make this a great school year. On another note, the Tennessee Department of Education will be lifting the embargo later this week, but school districts have the ability to share preliminary data starting today. We wanted to be sure to update you as soon as we were allowed. First, what is best for our students will always be first and foremost in our decision-making. Data is a useful tool, but it is not the be-all, end-all of school. We are here to support and educate all of our students. That being said, the school system is judged by our test results, so we're going to take a quick look at some of our results today. As background, you may remember that in 2018, our scores put the school system in the needs improvement category at the bottom level of the 5-level scorecard. In 2019, I'm proud to announce we made progress, moving from needs improvement to satisfactory. We are encouraged by the progress and want to celebrate the great work of our students, teachers, administrators, and staff. Collectively, we are eager to progress as a school district. As I shared with principals and staff throughout the summer, and it is even more appropriate today, now that we have our data back, we must know where we are, but we have to challenge ourselves not to stay there. With the students at the center of everything that we do, we will utilize the data to improve our practices and instruction and build on our strengths and progress. Before I turn it over to Dr. Changes to walk through the results, I want to give one more preview. MNPS has 37 reward schools this year, up from 22 last school year. That is a 68% increase in the number of reward schools. To continue this great work across our district, we look forward to collaborating with our school staff, our support employees, our parents, and our district leaders to ensure we provide a great education every day for every student. So at this time, I would like to welcome up Dr. Paul Changes to the podium. He will walk us through some of the preliminary data that has been shared with us from the Tennessee Department of Education.
Thank you, Dr. Battle. This is my 22nd year of reporting on our state accountability and assessment data. The first time I've done so sharing the data before it's been publicly released by the department, but our ability to do so started a little over an hour ago. Dr. Battle has shared some of the key pieces of information, and we are glad to see that we have moved up in terms of our overall status, and that's based on 10 ready scores, achievement growth, chronic absence data, English language proficiency, and a variety of measures across grade spans, and we'll get into more depth in just a minute. Our academic growth across all grades and subjects on the state assessments was pretty much equal to the state average. On the 1 to 5 scale that the state has, we were a 3. I've told you on past occasions that we're usually a 1 or a 5 on these measures. For us to be a 3 means we are right at the state average across all grade levels. When you look at our performance in literacy and numeracy, our ELA, English Language Arts and Math scores, across all grades and districts, we're actually a little above the state average in terms of growth this year, a composite of 4 in literacy and a 5 in numeracy. And in terms of the percent of students mastering or being on track on these English language standards, which are college readiness standards, we saw improvements in the grade spans 3 through 5 and 9 through 12, but a decline in 6 through 8. These are the grade spans that the state releases the accountability data on. As you're well aware, most elementary schools in Tennessee are K-5 schools, middle school 6 to 8. And high schools, of course, like us, 9 to 12. So that's the initial data. We will have breakdowns by grade level and subject for you soon. And when we say these are preliminary results, these are preliminary results. We're still waiting to see some of the final data that went into all of these calculations. But we have shared what we have at this point with our schools. With regard to mathematics, at each grade span, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 9, 12, we saw improvement in terms of our percent of students meeting state standards. We saw small increases in our social studies, which was tested at 6 to 8, and our U.S. history scores. And then we saw improvement in chronic absenteeism, and then for our English learners, their English language proficiency. That was overall and across all disadvantaged subgroups. And as Dr. Battle pointed out, we had 37 schools achieve reward status, and that's based on up until last year, we had schools that were reward based on achievement. We had others that were reward based on growth. This is a combined measure that the state uses now across achievement, across growth, across chronic absenteeism, English proficiency. They get scores, and a standard is set on a 0 to 4 scale, and any school of 3.1 or higher achieves that status. So there are 5 categories of district accountability designations. And as Dr. Battle pointed out, we've moved from in need of improvement. We were identified based on some subgroup performance last year into that satisfactory category. We're actually in the upper region of that satisfactory category. We were just 0.2 of a point from advancing. I'll take satisfactory after what we saw last year. So there's a lot of data on this chart. This is the essential achievement data that we were held accountable for in this process. When we look at achievement, again by those grade spans, for all students, which are highlighted here, you've got 2 years of data, and that's looking at our English language arts and mathematics success rates, on track or mastery, again meeting a state performance standard. For all of these indicators, except for graduation rate, the current year reflects the 2018-19 school year. There's a 1-year lag on graduation rate reporting. But you'll see that anything in green is improvement from the previous year, and we saw improvement at each grade span, particularly at 3 to 5 and 9 through 12. Chronic absenteeism declined by 2 percentage points. And when you translate, and English proficiency went up slightly. When you translate those percentages into actual numbers of students, we had almost 3,000 more students that met state academic standards on the achievement testing. And we had about 1,850 fewer students that were chronically absent this year. That means that they were absent less than 10% of the enrollment days. So we saw improvement overall for those achievement, chronic absenteeism, English language measures, and across all subgroups, except as you can see the red for 6 to 8 students with disabilities went down slightly. We do not have the new graduation rate data, the official data yet. That'll probably come in another month or so. And we'll share that at that point. I'll just say that we're encouraged based on some preliminary data that we're seeing there, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves there. This graph shows our performance on 10 Ready by grade span and subject area. The gold bars reflect our 2017-18 results. The blue bars are 2018-19, the most current data. And you can see that we made improvement in each area except for our English language arts in grades 6 through 8 went down a bit. We saw more than a 6 percentage point increase for 9 through 12 English language arts and for 3 to 5 mathematics. Our value-added growth on this 1 to 5 scale, this is the overall results across all of the state end of course and 4 through 8 10 Ready data. So as I indicated earlier, our composite was right at the state average. Literacy and numeracy above the state. Social studies, the growth in 6 through 8 was below the state average. Social studies in U.S. history. When you look at our data for 4 through 8, we're a 5 on the composite, on literacy, and on numeracy. This is the second straight year our literacy in 4 through 8 growth has been a 5. Again, social studies growth is a little bit below the state average. As I've indicated in past presentations, the 1 to 5 scale with our standard error of measurement is a very sensitive one. If we're a little above the state, we end up a 5, a little bit below a 1. But we did see some nice growth in the past year, and particularly in numeracy, we went up over half a percentile point over NCE. With regard to high schools, on the other hand, our growth was a little bit below. If you look at our actual percent proficient in advance by subject area, which we will share, you saw the grade span data, we're actually up in every subject, end of course subject tested, which is several subjects in mathematics, English 1, English 2, U.S. history. The actual percent hitting the state standard was up, but apparently the state made significant progress last year, which is not surprising given the online testing issues we saw in 2018. But our proficiency was up, but the growth, when you look at individual students, not quite there. On the other hand, when you look at our high school data, this is not part of the composite that we get for value added, but the state gives us results in terms of the growth of our high school ACT students' scores by subject area. And it's a little confusing how we're below the state average in growth for end of course, but above the state for ACT growth, which indicates that perhaps we're bouncing back after those end of course tests and doing much better on the ACT than this is based on projections from prior tests. So if you look at that growth measure of a 0.3, it means that on average our students scored 0.3 of a point on the ACT composite, higher than was predicted. That prediction based on statewide average growth last year. We've done quite a bit in terms of ACT prep within the district, and I know very soon we'll be talking to you about our ACT plan that's in place, but this is encouraging that we are seeing the growth here. We are sharing with you tonight, we don't have all of the school level data in a digestible format yet. We're waiting on what the state will produce in the next couple of days, but we do have designations of our schools. And these top 2 categories are what the state identifies as focus categories. Those are schools that have issues with 1 or more subgroups. In terms of subgroup performance being in the bottom 5% statewide. The first indicator, the targeted support and improvement, we had 13 schools. That's a 1-year status. That means for 1 year that they fell below that 5 percentile mark. The second category, additional targeted support and improvement, is a 3-year indicator. It's a different, we had that category for the first time last year, but different criteria are being used this year. And overall performance of that subgroup across multiple measures factors into that, and schools will be addressing those subgroups in their school improvement planning. The third category is the one that gets the most attention in terms of the concern. That's not a new category. That was based on 2018 designation. So we're talking about the same 23 schools that were identified last year. That status holds for 3 years. So in 2021, the state will issue new priority and comprehensive support lists. And if you remember, our legislature initially said that we wouldn't be using 2018 data for those designations, but the U.S. Department of Education required that data be factored in, so the comprehensive support and improvement was added at that time. And then finally, we have our reward schools and the 37 that we indicate here, and you should have a list of those, and we'll provide more details in terms of all of our school information very soon. So finally, what we're going to request in terms of assistance is advocating, I think this one speaks for itself, timely reporting of state assessment and accountability results. We'd like to have this conversation before school starts rather than after school starts, but we know that that's been an ongoing challenge. This is a request that we continue to look at multiple measures in our state accountability system. Test scores are important, but they're not the only thing, and we'd certainly like to see more of an emphasis on school culture measures and other academic data, but at least not narrowing that focus anymore. And hopefully keeping a focus that's growth-oriented in terms of student academic performance and improvement on these measures. I bring that up because there are some indications that a potential possibility that in the future we may move more toward one-time measures of achievement that we know are highly correlated with factors outside of schools' control. For fairness, we think the focus on growth is critical. And finally, this is something that I think is not new in terms of requests, funding that matches our needs in order to carry out the planning and the work that's in place. So with that, I will take any questions. Or not.
I have a quick question. Go ahead. So on the list of schools, can schools come off of those lists at any time, any year?
They can. For the most serious conditions of priority schools, there are a couple of ways to come off. In terms of academic growth, value-added scores, that's a 2-year process, above average growth across subjects for 2 consecutive years. But you can also come off by making significant improvement in your success rate and moving above, for 1 year, if you're above the 15th percentile. Remember, they got identified initially by being below the 5th percentile. But if they're above the 15th percentile for 1 year, they come off. If they're above the 10th percentile for 2 consecutive years, they come off. And we do have some schools that are above the 10th percentile. And we can provide more details on those schools, but they would need another year of doing that. We also have some priority schools that had the growth measure, so another year of academic growth. And the other categories in terms of subgroup performance, ATSI can come off also with that subgroup making significant progress in a year.
Did any schools come off of ATSI or TSI?
Because it's really a brand new list because it was changed so significantly that essentially they started over. So it's a brand new list. So normally it's a 3-year status, the ATSI, but because the state is a year behind of the identification that occurred last year for priority schools, there's going to be a new category in 2021. So in this case, it's a 2-year status.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question for context. How often have we matched or been above the state?
In terms of growth, we have been there before. I'd say more times than not we've been a little bit below, but we're usually very, very close. And when I say we go, between a 1 and a 5, it's a fine line. But for us to be above, and I'm not sure that it's been a while since we've been above in literacy for consecutive years like we saw this time. As I said last year, I didn't think our high school growth was a valid indicator because of the online issues that we had. However, we've been below at the high school level for multiple years. But on the other hand, we are bouncing back by the time students take the ACT. But we can give you some longitudinal data on that. But we're usually pretty close to the state average.
I guess I was sitting over here like jumping out of my skin. This just seems like great data that should be tweeted about, posted about, talked about, clapped over. I mean, we just should be sending a shout out to our students and our teachers and our administrators and our central office staff because this is not an easy task. I mean, even being a level 3 teacher means that you're really doing a good job. That doesn't mean that you're a C student or you're just okay. That means you're doing a good job and you've met all the marks. But being a 4 or a 5 means that you are rock starring it. So for us to be a level 5 system for us to see the types of growth that we do. And then for me, a lot of this data speaks to our focus on equity. The idea that Black and brown and poor and disadvantaged students are seeing increased growth in ways that they weren't doing when I was in school in MNPS, that we haven't been doing consistently for years. When are we going to do a press release? Do we have a communication? I'm serious. Do we have a communications plan in place by any chance?
So others can speak to that, but we have been meeting with our communications team. I don't want to speak for Dr. Battle. I think we're encouraged, with what we see. We know there's still plenty of work to do, and I'm not going to jump in up and down about a 5 when I've told you in the past that that scale is a very sensitive scale. But anytime you see growth above the state average, that's a positive. And we saw with our MAP scores last spring growth from August to February that was above the national average in both reading and mathematics. So this is kind of a continuous process that we're seeing growth that is still occurring. One of the challenges we've had is not losing that growth over the summer months, and we start over every year. But yes, it's encouraging, and I'll put the pressure on others to get the message out.
And I'll just say I really appreciate you pointing out the ways that we can advocate for you all. If that means that we just need to have more interaction with the state to continue to support this growth, I just appreciate that.
And I'll just say, because I have been meeting periodically with state accountability staff over the last few years. We've had the opportunity they've asked districts to share, but coming from boards and directors of school, I don't want to see us take a step backward in terms of the accountability system. And we have a new administration, and there's always change, and you can help us in that regard.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll just add that our communications team has been a part of this. And as a reminder, the embargo was lifted just at 5 o'clock today. So I think that speaks to the talented team we have here and pulling together to make sure that you all heard from us first and that we were able to provide a high-level overview of the preliminary data.
And I'll just add that the embargo was lifted at 5, but the state's not releasing anything publicly, including their press release, till Thursday. So. Although some other districts will be out ahead of that, but we've got a couple of days in terms of putting the message out there.
Are there questions or comments? Well, congratulations, Dr. Battle, team, MNPS. I mean, really, this just speaks to a lot of hard work and intentionality. So thank you all for this, and thank you for the information. With that, we'll go right to announcements, beginning with Ms. Bush.
So we just got finished listening to an update, and I want to recognize the schools that are in my district that are holding the status of MNPS schools, reward schools, and that is Cambridge Elementary, Lakeview Elementary, and no, I don't dislike my charters. I love my charters too because it's about option, right? So I want to give a shout out to KIPP Academy Nashville Elementary School, and congratulations to those schools. Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes, I'm making up for lost time, so y'all have to have patience with me. I want to thank the McGavick Coalition members who showed up on the first day of school at 6:15 to welcome our students back to school and to provide gifts for them. The newly formed McGavick PTO was there as well, and we spent the better part of an hour handing out raffle tickets for Mr. Wall to call out the numbers so the students can win prizes. Most of them were gift cards that they really do enjoy. And speaking of the McGavick PTO, it's very new. Just last year, they sponsored a wonderful breakfast for the teachers and staff on Friday, August the 2nd, with quite a spread of food and volunteer serving. And I want to give a shout out to Kevin Walker, who's heading up that initiative. I am a real election results nerd, and I gave up my ticket to the Sounds game on Thursday, August the 1st, to my youngest son, so I could stay home and watch the election results all by myself. So I really get into watching the election results, and they did not disappoint. But then I realized that we are going to be having a special runoff election on Thursday, September 12th. I quickly grabbed my MNPS calendar. Yep, we're in school on Thursday, September the 12th. We have gone above and beyond the call of duty, several of us, to try and make sure that our schools are not open during on election day. We have all of our schools are unlocked and wide open with no security, with students, faculty, and staff in the building, and it always causes me a lot of angst. Normally, guests have to be buzzed through, but on election day, the school is open to anyone who wants to vote or who might want to cause harm. 2 weekends ago, we had 2 mass shootings in a 24-hour time period, resulting in 29 dead and many more injured. Personally, I think it's time that the city of Nashville look for polling places that are not in schools. Yes, that's a big undertaking, but I think the safety of our students and schools and faculty and staff should come first on this issue. A special thank you to former Governor Bill Haslam, Attorney Charles Bone, Juvenile Court Administrator Kathy Sinback, and Juvenile Court Judge Sheila Calloway for their tireless efforts resulting in the release of Centoya Brown last Wednesday. Justice was finally served. Happy early birthdays to my colleagues Christian Buggs and Sharon for birthdays on Thursday. Congratulations to my newly elected council rep, Erin Evans. She's the new council representative for District 12, and we are so excited that she's going to be at that helm. Lastly, this past May, on May the 10th, Public Chapter 376 became law, which was designated to create alternative evaluation to the current portfolio method that is evaluating pre-K and kindergarten teachers. The state DOE totally ignored the passage of that law and to this date has not created an alternative method. The state DOE had no regard for this law or our pre-K and K teachers. This current portfolio method is extremely time-consuming and takes teachers out of their classroom for at least 5 days of school a year. The state DOE said it would be next year at the earliest before they would have an alternative method. If you talk with any pre-K and K teacher, they will tell you how clumsy and time-consuming the portfolio method is. We need to work on getting the state DOE to follow that state law. That's my soapbox.
I want to say that it was really nice to see Dr. Paul Changus live and in person this week as school started, so I can speak to thanking everybody that was here in central office that dispersed out into our schools and then came back and talked with Mr. Henson about our back-to-school initiatives. It was really good to see just kind of how we all worked, as it was my first back-to-school as someone on the board. So it's been an exciting and full of learning experience for everybody in our family, as my 2 boys also started kindergarten. I know it's been something. We'll put it that way, y'all. But many thanks to their incredible teachers. We're so thankful. On that news, I want to thank the new schools that have joined the priority list, not the priority list, the reward school list, including Granbury and Tusculum. They're the new schools that have added to, along with Creve Hall Elementary and Valor. If you are living in the Creve Hall neighborhood, the newsletter will soon be having a whole section just about our schools, and those are our neighborhood schools, including elementary, middle school, and high school. And so I want to make sure that you're aware of that in case that's something you are doing, because I'm adding a lot of information there. Outside of that, I really appreciate everyone's hard work of kind of getting us started off on back to school. It's been a lot of work. It's a lot of heavy lifting. Summer is not a time for rest for schools, like most people think it is. It's a lot of heavy lifting to get it started and started off right. So I really appreciate everyone's heavy work. Mrs. Pupo-Welker.
I just want to first say big shout out to the Hillsborough High School team opening in a brand new building that's not finished, and got to walk through with Dr. Battle, and such an impressive building. So shout out to the maintenance and facilities and all of the people that have worked so hard on that, and Dr. Schuler-Pelham for a steady hand through the whole process. Really, really impressed. And so they had a big Borough Bash Saturday celebration back to school. Also want to congratulate Tom Cash, who won in District 8 as a council member in my district, who is an outgoing now, longtime Hume Fogg teacher who has to resign from Hume Fogg to take that position on the council, which is kind of interesting. So that's good. We have an educator at council, yes. And then also want to congratulate Aiken, Glendale, and Percy Priest on their reward status, and just welcome back to school. I'm excited for a new year. Thanks.
Mrs. Brogue?
I also want to congratulate my reward schools. 4 out of 5 of my elementary schools made the list. So Gower Elementary, Harpeth Valley Elementary, Sylvan Park Elementary, and Westmead Elementary all are reward schools this year. And I want to thank everyone for their hard work at these schools. I also want to thank Dr. Battle for a smooth start of year and opening. And we're off to the off on the right foot this year. Thank you.
So I just have 2 announcements. One, I just received an email from the mother of Carissa Bryant, who was the 2019 graduate of MLK, who also participated in the Tennessee Ambassadors of Music Band. She wasn't here today because she is preparing for college, but wanted to thank us for being supportive of the students, and I at least wanted to acknowledge her. And I'm going to scrap everything else I was going to say and remind everyone. Budget season is year-round now. I want to thank Catherine Green. She is a teacher, or she was a teacher in my district. Now she's still a teacher in MNPS, but her mother, I believe, had these magnets made. They say fully fund MNPS. As soon as we have the mayoral and the council runoffs completed, I believe we should begin advocating. So, friendly reminder, advocate for increased funding for education, because I promise you we need it. I'll leave it there. Mrs. Brogue?
There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
Great meeting.
The mechanic was so. What a nice
change.
If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.